Executive Director of the Washington Initiative for Supportive Employment. She has 25 years of experience in competitive integrated employment training and technical assistance. She uses her experience to assist with the employment systems change and community employment capacity building. Welcome to the hot seat.
Wow.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for
This
having
is your
me.
first IG Live, correct?
Yes. Yes.
First IG Live. Yes.
Don't judge. Don't
I'm not,
judge.
you're doing great. I'm going to say, I'm not going to turn the hot seat all the way up on you, okay? I'm not going to turn it as high as it can go.
All right.
It's going to get a little bit warm, but you can handle it. I'm going to start you off real easy.
My ice cubes
You got
melted.
Ice cubes. All right, excellent.
Okay.
Turn the volume up. All right, so let's get started. How would you define a good boss or leader?
Wow. How about I go down the leader path here? And I think, I mean, we could talk all day, but I think a good leader is somebody, I guess I'd say, I visualize a teeter-totter, and on either side of it, on one side you've got pain, on one side you've got possibility. It's kind of how I think about it. And I think good leaders understand the balance between those two things. I think, and they use them. I think they use them for whatever moment or whatever situation that they're in. But I think first they understand them about themselves. You know, they think about what the balance of pain is. Or I even think sometimes I spend a lot of time thinking about the value of pain is, because we see a lot of it around us. Right? It's kind of floats. It's there, and you see some leaders that leverage that on one end of the spectrum. Right. We have lots of negative leadership examples over the course of history. Right. And then we've got plenty of people that turn that and they bring hope and they help people move and they do great things with the possibility that comes out of those sorts of things. So I just really, this is what I think about leaders. I think they really they know how to turn adversity into things that matter. Okay. And they also, I think there's another thing that happens is that good leaders understand that when there is pain, that they can sit in it, they can give it space, they can own it if it's theirs, they can be with it if it's somebody else's that they're with. And at the end is that turns into something better, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for somebody else. But I think the leaders that are still evolving and forming are those that may jump into that pain pool and get in it, and live in that a little bit, and then self-discover and figure out what the heck just happened here, you know? And then they go, okay, now I got to regroup. I got to own that. If it was mine, I got to help. If it wasn't, you know, you kind of start, you go down, you start swimming down that stream that way. Pain and possibility. That's pain and possibility.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right. How would you define a good coworker?
Well, you have fun with them.
Okay.
I think number one, I think great workplaces are places where people are smiling and the energy's good, and a good coworker is also somebody that wants to spend time with you, and vice versa. Right. You know, that you get to know. I think you build a certain you're able to build a certain level of relationship with somebody that's a good coworker, where you can get to understand each other. And when you can get to some level of really knowing one another, you can do even greater things together. So somebody that's willing to be known and somebody that's willing to get to know you.
Okay, excellent. So let me ask you, have you ever experienced a bad leader or a bad boss?
I don't know if I'd ever say bad. I think complicated, maybe. Okay. Maybe a better word for me, the way that I think about things. I think that people honestly are trying to do the very best they can. Okay. Every day. When I think we all show up to try and do the best that we can, and the way that we do it. It just may not always work out, you know, for two different people to be together and or in a position of power. Right. Sometimes people lead a certain way and it doesn't work for you. And I think that we all experience that. We experience that in our, you know, whether it's a boss, a coworker, a friend, a friendship that's no longer
Right.
a relationship. You know, it's more that sometimes the roads go a different way.
That's true. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. What is something that you learned, whether it was from a good leader or not so good leader, or a complicated leader, that or some type of tool that you use today in your leadership skills? What is something that you learned from good or complicated leader that you use in your leadership today? It could be a quote or some type of tool or something that you learned.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. The first thing I've already said, which is a belief that everybody's doing the best that they can. I think when you put that pair of glasses on and start looking at the world, you find compassion and understanding and learning. I mean, you can learn from every situation that's there, whether it feels good to you or not.
Right.
You know, sometimes the things that are most the burr in your saddle or a most barbed wire-ish kind of thing can be the thing that really, you know, you turn around and you go, that was hugely impactful. I think the other thing is that I described pain and possibility. I had this great softball coach. I played for him for 15, 16 years. His name was Al Medley. And we'd sit and talk about adversity and talk about what it took to be a champion or what it took to influence your teammates or things like that. And he would always say it was always about how you looked at things, Seth. And his wasn't pain and possibility. His was, it's either a pile of crap or a pile of fertilizer.
Depending on how you look at it.
It depends on how you look at it. And when it arrives and you've got it there, you've got it to either work with, right? Or you move away from it. Your choice. But always take ownership. You know, he always taught me to take ownership and to take personal responsibility for the things I felt great about and the things that I really wish I would have done differently. But he would bring it back to me. He would always go, and you have to own it. It's your life, your move, your leadership, your way of being when we compete. But I think life's like that. I mean, people are looking at you. People feel you.
Right.
And you're establishing trust every minute, every second, every moment that you have. And if you don't have trust, it's really hard to deepen a relationship and go back to, like I said, those great coworkers are ones that you trust, that you have a deep relationship with, that, you know, you go to work every day with, you know?
Right. So you brought up softball, which was my next question.
Yeah.
So you play sports, you play softball, so you're familiar with being on a team. What position do you play?
I'm a middle infielder, a shortstop.
Shortstop, okay. And on softball, everybody has a position to play. Shortstop and first base and pitcher. In a teamwork environment, do you think it's important for people to play the position they're assigned? Or do you think that they should try to play all the positions or learn all the positions?
Both. I think that as you mature on a team, you may have the opportunity to play a variety of positions. But you're usually brought into a team for a specific purpose.
Right.
That's how you join. You join in, you go, hey, my job's to pitch. That's what I know how to do. And your coach is likely going to say, Seth, get out there and do the best you can. Then we're going to practice that. It may very well be halfway through the year, you're also going to play first base.
Okay.
But we'll deal with that at practice. We're going to try our best not to throw you in there on the hot seat in you know, the moment that you're supposed to be performing. And you start to work that system and you go and go and go. The other thing that's really important, though, for people to know is not every single body, like our physical body, is built to do all the positions.
Right.
It's rare that you find somebody that can play all of the positions. So that expectation, that's something you recruit for. That's not something you build, right? Those are special commodities that come along and that are very rare. I like to tell people, I give them an analogy. My friend Joyce, she used to say, Sess, I love basketball. I've studied basketball. I know everything about it. I go to all the games. I would love nothing more than play basketball. My body's not built to do that. And I'd say mine was. I said, but you know what I couldn't do in basketball? I couldn't dunk the basketball. I'm 5'4". It would require an accommodation, which is a trampoline during the game, and those aren't available. Right? It doesn't mean that I might not be able to, but my coach is never going to ask me to do that or play a position that requires that skill because I physically don't possess it.
Right.
Right.
On teamwork, when you think about teamwork in your team, what skills or factors do you look at to bring somebody on your team?
Well, I try to look, number one, for motivation. And that's an intrinsic thing for folks, which is a really hard thing to get in a degree or get at a certification course. Or those things give you confidence and they give you knowledge. But at the end of the day, if you recruit for somebody that really wants to be there, then you're going to be able to build, based on what they're capable of, some sort of role for them inside your organization. In absence of motivation, then everybody's out of sync. Okay. So I always like to tell people that, therapy helps motivation sometimes. Sometimes medication can help motivation, sometimes things like that. But really it's deep down inside about what you believe and what you want. And so when you're trying to get to know somebody in a hiring process, it's really hard to ferret that out. But you can also sense it if you can really sit and listen to people that say, you know what, this is my place. This is where I want to be. And you can look them in the eye and you can feel them. If you really take a moment and be with them, then you hire that way, then you're going to start to build momentum. Old Mo is going to come along. People want to be there. Then you're going to get the happiness. Then you get the smiles. Then you get the trust. It just starts to snowball that way. And then you learn together. Then you grow together and you have all your ups and downs and fits and starts. And then you build your personality that way. That's where that comes into play.
Okay. Yeah. How would you describe your leadership skills?
Well, what's been told to me, I guess, is where I should start. I've been described as a long leash style leader. And this probably formed a lot in sports too, early on for me. You believe in the cause. You believe in the people that are around you. You trust that they're showing up to do the very best that they can. And you give them as much room as you can to be themselves, to let their personality, let their style, let them fall down, let them get up, let them, try so hard that they're going to fail. You create an environment like that. That's the way that I like to lead. I like to say, hey, I'm going to give you as much as I can to do this. My job, and the thing I'm constantly trying to figure out as a leader, is how to describe where the end of the leash is. Right? So that it's fair. So that it's fair, because there are boundaries. There are there, and each of us as leaders has to find where those lines are for ourselves and be able to describe that, and be able to describe that not under pressure or not under duress. I think it's really important to be able to say, hey, these are the things that are going to get me in a bad spot when we're working together. Like, I don't like to be surprised so much. I kind of like to know what's going on, because I'm the kind of thinker that thinks a lot about what's okay if this and this, if this and this. Remember, I'm an old athlete here, somebody that's strategizing all the time and changing conditions. So it's really helpful when you work with me if you kind of give me a heads up, hey, oh boy, this thing happened, I'll go, great, tell me all about it. Okay, let's think about how we play under those new conditions together. But yeah, long leash. Yeah. So
the hot seat where you have no idea what question I'm going to ask you is outside of your what you prefer. Would you agree on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm be kind to you. So you hold a master's degree in sports psychology. How did you end up as the executive director of Washington Initiative for Supportive Employment?
Well, it's a long story, so I'll try and abbreviate it in that that degree actually underneath the psychology word, there's a lot about motor skill development and training, professional development. So a lot of education training under there, and also kind of the neuroscience and the motor skill development piece. That was a big piece of what I learned. And then either you're going to become an orthopedic surgeon or something, or the math gets in the way. You put psychology at the end of that. So that's where my road kind of, went this way. But it got me, I used to train, I coached for a while in college, and I coached competitive athletes. And so when you're looking at training, coaching, helping people develop skills and those sorts of things, teamwork, I was in that lane. And then I left competitive sports, and I was kind of thinking what I wanted to do, and I was in my 20s at the time, and I thought I met some people that were doing work in the field of supported employment, and they profiled me and thought that I would enjoy the work, and got me an interview at an employment agency, and coached me up on how to get the job in the interview. And then I got trained on the job like everybody else that has come through the ranks in supported employment. And I just thought, I'm doing the same thing. I'm on job sites, I'm teaching tasks, I'm looking at how you integrate people on teams, I'm looking at organizational profiles and not sports team profiles, and I'm looking at all the characters on the team at a work site and how they get along, and how they do things together, and how my player or my client in this world of supported employment could play that role that was defined for them, and do that well, and then maybe get to go from a pitcher to a first baseman, and those sorts of things. So it really made sense to me. And I don't know that I've ever found something that was more profound for me to see than somebody going to work. That really, like I said, when it goes back to motivation, and somebody really wants to work for somebody or you, right, and you make that happen, I mean, it has a feeling like nothing that I could have ever imagined. And I was hooked. I was like, I want to do this, and I would love to help teach more people how to do this. And I'd love for more employers to be able to see that what a highly motivated employee can do to change the culture of your workplace. And here they were, people that wanted to go to work, and I'm like, I'm in. I'm totally in, and I've never left. I just want to do more of it. So
okay. For the people who don't know, they may be watching and don't know what competitive integrated employment is or supportive employment is. What is your answer to that?
Yeah, I think it's just like any employment that you see. All right, you've got one person, you've got seeking a job with an employer. In this case, we work with people with intellectual or developmental disabilities that are job seekers. And so you've got maybe a few different situations or scenarios or learning styles or support needs that somebody might have to be able to play whatever position in that employer that they're trying to connect to. And the folks in our industry, think about those special training needs. They think about accommodations, or trained to look at accommodations for a range of employers, and or go find somebody that is, if they don't know how to do it. And, like I said, the capability thing I described earlier about maybe my body's not the same way that needs to be to dunk a basketball. Right. Well, the accommodation, the trampoline, is an example of what we would do in supported employment. We might have somebody that might not have all of the capabilities to do everything in that job description, but we're the ones that bring in the trampoline because then we see that accommodation and we go, we know what those kinds of things are, and we can add that, and suddenly you've got the capability to do that job. And so many people, most of us, if we really think about where we work or where we have worked, have worked with people with disabilities. Most of us have worked with people with white hair. You know, it's just what we were paying attention to, you know, what were we paying attention to? And maybe behind that person were some supports and services that they needed to make that move into the job that were a little bit different than yours if you don't have a disability. But those services are out there for us in all of the communities across the United States. And I think still maybe one of the best kept secrets out there. Motivated workforce with a little bit of accommodation and craftiness, great employee.
Absolutely.
Right? Great employee.
Why is this work even important?
Well,
to you. To you.
Yeah. It's like asking why work is important, right? And you ever thought about what it would mean to not have the opportunity to work? When it really comes down to it, even people that don't have to work end up working. Like, we're built to work.
Right.
And I mean, our personalities and our sense of humor are only entertaining for so long in the day, right? We like to get things done. We're built to do this. And so, you know, not having that opportunity or being excluded or being thought that you're less than or being left out, think about what that feels like. Try that on a Friday afternoon, okay? When you're looking to go belong somewhere this evening. That does not feel good. I don't want that feeling, and I don't want that feeling for anyone around me or anybody that I can try and help out with, because somebody wants to do something and you can help out, then you know, show up for drill, help them out. And think about how healthy we are when we're working and contributing. I mean, how good we feel when we're doing something that makes a difference, or that just moves something, you know, a little bit higher on the fence that day, or, you know, we painted something a different color and it looks beautiful. I mean, that makes us proud, and that makes us healthy, and it makes us feel really good about ourselves. And let's do that. That's what we're talking about.
I know your organization works with a lot of different states and cities and counties. What do you want to see the impact of your work for the next 5 years? What in the next 5 years, what do you want to impact in the different places, the states and counties that you work in or work with?
You know, I think about it as a community is how I think about it. And I think, you know, you take the temperature sometimes right now when you turn your phone on like this, and depending on how you organize your media that comes in, it might not look too pretty some days. It might look a little bit scary. It might look like, wow, I don't want to be in that place, or I don't want to be in the place I live in. And, you know, with our work, thinking about educating and opening doors and partnering. I'd like to see WISE partnering with organizations we haven't met yet. And we're trying to be more intentional about saying, and this is who we are, this is what we do, and doing a better job of that. So maybe more people want to get to know us in their communities where we can be. And I think, I don't know, somebody told me a couple months ago, I thought it was a great quote: change happens at the speed of your relationships. And so what I'd like to see for us is to build more intentional relationships with a more diverse group of potential friends and like-minded people in the community that want to make it a better place. All the technical things we do, all the skills and training and all of that comes along. That's in the suitcase when you come along. But I'd like to see us have more people in our business, you know, literally in our social circle and circle of influence.
Okay. The last question, which I saved the best for last for you. You are in the room with every small business in the United States.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
I tell them a story about when I was drafted into Little League Baseball in 1976, and there were no girls that got to play. And I tell them what it meant for my life journey, that somebody made a decision to try something they hadn't done before because the person really wanted to play. And at that point in time, not only did one brave guy draft me into Little League Baseball with long blonde hair down to my butt, so nobody didn't know that I wasn't the only girl there playing. But that was right when Title IX was just being formed and girls didn't get to do things. I was drafted to play on a team sponsored by Rotary. Rotary didn't allow women in 1976, right? And so those moments in time, if I was talking to small business owners, they can make moves like that.
Right.
They can pivot, they can create. These are the entrepreneurial underbelly of the United States. Mm-hmm. They can make change happen in one move, and it can be beneficial for them, and it can be life altering for somebody else. And so, think about that for a minute and take that challenge seriously, because one moment, one decision, one door kicked a little bit further open to say, I want to meet people I haven't met before, because they might help my business and I might be able to change their life too. That's what I would tell them.
Hey, give it up for Session. This is her very first Instagram Live, not her last, but her very first Instagram Live. She made it out. I don't see smoke coming from her ears. I have another question for people or states that want to work with WISE. What is the best way to get in touch with you? GoWise.org. Go to our website. Check us out there. You can contact us that way. Obviously, we have this great Instagram channel here if you all want to follow us along and send us a note. There's people way more capable than me that will follow up on that. But we'd love to have more people get, like I said, we're trying to get to know more people and let ourselves be known more as well. And folks like you, Belinda, are helping us do that. And I'm super grateful that you took a shot on somebody figuring out how to get on their Instagram today to bring me alive too. So I'm really grateful, and I love what you're doing here as well. It's really important. Thank you. Everybody, again, give those hearts. Let's see those hearts for that. She did a wonderful job. Her very first
you're kind.
She had no idea what questions I was going to ask. She said herself she doesn't like to not know, but she made it through.
I did it.
So let's look at some of the comments that they said. I don't know if you can see them. I can read some of them. Let's see. It says, "Hey, Sass, you're doing great. Love that. So good. So inspiring. She's in the hot seat. I agree with that. This is good leadership style. Really good leadership. Amazing. So good. Love working, helping others feel confident. Absolutely." Stacy Love Style said, "I just follow her. OMG, this is fire. Awesome. We got hearts. How to get in contact with you says gowise.org. Say says I am following now. Belinda, you did amazing. So amazing. Pew pew. She did it. Says, thank you. I will share the video so you can have it on your Instagram as well. So again, thank you for coming on live. You did a great job. Everybody, you know where to find WISE and Sass at gowise.org. It's a great organization. You want to be a part or work with them in some kind of way. It's Friday. It's 4 p.m., 4:30 Eastern, and is it 1:30?
1:30.
1:30 Pacific time. So again, thank you for taking time on and respect your time, and have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.